What's up, y'all? It's your boy George Carmi from the Command the Mic podcast, brought to you by Full Press Coverage. Let's get it on. What's up, everybody? Thank you for joining us on this lovely Tuesday evening. I'm here with the Command This podcast, man. So I'm, blessed to have you guys on. I'll give my shout out to Phil. How you doing today, bro?
I am alive and well. How is everyone doing tonight?
We're doing good, man. How about you, Steve? How you doing today, bro?
Hey, chilling. Thank you for having us, George. Always a pleasure, man. Always a pleasure.
Definitely a pleasure. We talk every single day in our group chat. Always talking football. I love it. My main man, Dev. How you doing today, bro?
Hey, I'm hanging in there, man. Suffering through technical difficulties, but we'll make it.
That's great, man. It's all good, man. So thank you for having us. I'm glad you guys are on. Guys, definitely we're going to talk to going to be our second round of our Commanders of Ready. And there's a lot to talk about, to be honest with you. We have our conference championships that happened this past weekend. Our arch rival, the Philadelphia Eagles, are in the Super Bowl right now. I don't know how to feel about it. I'm pretty angry about it, to be honest with y'all. We're going to talk about Kam Curl and whether he should be extended long-term and how much that entails. We have a lot to talk about, so we'll kind of jump on into it relatively soon. So first of all, right? So first question, let's kind of get into the Super Bowl really quick. I guess the first question before we dive into it, right? Like, who do you hate the most in the NFC East? Let's kind of go with that before we even get into the whole Super Bowl matchup. We'll start off with Phil. I see Phil's face kind of curling a little bit. How do you feel, man? Is it Cowboys, the Giants, the Eagles? How you feel about all this?
All right.
Oh, here we go.
It's a two-way tie.
Okay.
And it's for different reasons. I hate the Cowboys out of tradition.
Okay.
Hate them out of tradition. Always
okay.
Have.
What's up with Terrence?
Terrence, our boy Mean Green aside, I hate the Eagles because of their fans.
Okay.
I hate the city of Philadelphia. I made a comment that I truly mean on Twitter earlier today that I'm sure a lot of people probably looked at like, but nah. It just the entitlement from Eagles fans, considering their overall history, like you're not. You're a legacy act, but you're not getting the residency at the best casinos in Vegas. You're not there. You have not won enough. You have not won enough championships to do so, especially in the Super Bowl era. Now,
I like the hard S on that, championships. I like that. Go ahead.
Right.
That's good.
You have one Super Bowl. The rest of the NFC East is well ahead of you. You win this one, you're still at the bottom of the division. So let's tamp that down. Y'all win this Super Bowl. Hey, you're making the rest of our division look good historically. And hopefully you burn down the city permanently, and then they move the franchise somewhere else, and Philly gets what they deserve, which is no more team.
Gotcha. Okay. Steve, how do you feel about all this, man? There's we can talk about how you feel about the division and who you like and who you don't like. There also was an article kind of going around about how the Eagles rebuilt in 5 years, the whole
right.
they benched Jalen Hurts and Nate Sudfeld, all that. How do you feel about that? Do you give the Eagles their flowers, or are you still kind of?
No, I Phil said the thing. Fans, I got it. Fans, they have their thing. And Terrence and I were talking at work. I'm like, hey, do they really oil up the street light, the light poles in the Philly? He goes, yes, they do, and they still find a way to climb to the top. But I give the Eagles their respect because I can take the blinders off. The Eagles are a great team. They were built right. We're envious of them. We'd have no ground to talk smack this year. In retrospect, of course, we can still talk. But
big picture,
they've earned it all. They've rebuilt. They've gone from bad to good, and they're a much better run organization than we are in the recent years. But I still hate Cowboys more. I hate Cowboys more, and maybe it's just the indoctrination from birth. So yes, I don't want the Eagles to go, but I hate the Cowboys way worse than anyone else. It's not even close to me.
It's funny. Phil basically said the Eagles fans are the worst, which I can see, but interacting with them online and with their content creators is actually pretty cool. I don't know if I think you guys worked with Joe Castro before. He's a cool dude. Seeing Cowboy fans, especially the never been to Dallas Cowboy fans that walk around DC, they kind of drive me crazy.
NBDs.
MBDs, man, for sure. So I don't even know. They're the ones that drive me the most nuts. Dev, how do you feel, bro?
I don't mind Eagles winning, honestly. Like, you know, I do. There's a part of me that wants, you know, the Eagles to win because it brings pride to the conference. I'm not gonna lie to you. And the Eagles aren't really, in my opinion, our biggest rival. If it's the Cowboys, hell no, they got to lose at all costs, bro. Even now, the Giants, but Eagles, and we beat them. You know, it almost gives you a sick feeling seeing them in there and watching teams play them real bad because we beat them full force, and you know, I don't know. Definitely I'm pros, I know.
It's all good, man. So let's kind of pivot a little bit, right? So this last weekend, obviously, we're looking for the conference championship. We wanted to, you know, in my opinion, I wanted the 49ers and the Bengals to win it all, you know, or I wanted them to go to the championship and kind of see how that played out. How do you feel about this matchup? Are you excited about this, Steve? Do you think it's going to be a good matchup? Who do you think honestly is going to win? I don't know if you even like dive deep into it yet. Like, what's your perspective on this game so far?
No, it's going to be a good matchup. Like, personally, I would have liked to have seen a Bengals Niners, a healthy Bengals Niners, but it is what it is. And we got Eagles Chiefs. It probably would have been, I feel like Eagles Bengals would have been great too.
Yeah.
But Eagles Chiefs, it's going to be a close one. Honestly, we have a show Thursday, but I haven't even looked at what the opening line is. Maybe it's too early, but it's going to be a great game. I think both teams are very similar in nature. It's going to be fantastic. It should be a very close game in my opinion.
All right. Then Phil, bring it on home. What do you think about this matchup, man? Are you happy about this? Do you think the Eagles have a chance? Are they going to win? What are you thinking, bro?
Well, I predicted Bengals Niners as well. So I was completely off. But then again, I never get the playoffs right because I thought the Titans were going to win the Super Bowl last year.
Okay.
What do I think about this matchup? I mean, it's going to be offense. There's going to be plenty of offense in this matchup. But as long as the Chiefs are the ones doing all the offense and Philly gets it prison style, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine. It's as long as Philly just gets beaten to the ground. That's all that matters to me.
Nah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I predicted that I was going to be Philadelphia, Kansas City. I just thought they were the best teams all year long. Patrick Mahomes, man, he's the baby goat, as we talk about in our chat. He definitely is on the rise. 5 straight AFC championships. You can't really hate on that. So I do think it's going to be a pretty competitive game. I am happy that once the Eagles won by that crazy game with no quarterback over in San Francisco, I wanted Kansas City to win because I think they could actually beat the Eagles. Well, I don't think the Bengals could. I think the Eagles are a more well-rounded team. They're built well. I think they have a great offensive line, great defensive line, and it's great quarterback all together. Anyways, let's kind of talk about this, right? So we kind of hinted that the Eagles are built very well, and they have basically a awesome roster construction that's going to kind of pivot to our next topic over here, right? Our big Commanders topic. This is the Commanders podcast, right? I don't know if you guys saw this on the internet. I'm sure you guys have. Kam Curl, right? He basically is in the last year of his contract. So in theory, Washington doesn't even have to pay him this year. He's under contract for this year. He doesn't have to get paid. But, the logical, the right thing, the smart thing to do would be to potentially extend him now to kind of, establish some good faith. Greg Curl, who's pretty outspoken on Twitter. I love it, though. You got to stick up for your son, right? He's Kam Curl's dad. He put out a pretty, pretty eye-opening tweet. And I think he's a master in PR, right? He basically wanted to get this conversation going and to root for his son. He said Kam Curl should get nothing less than $80 million as a safety for the Commanders, right? And before we kind of get
in the words of Cardi B, you smoking dope.
Okay. And we'll talk about that in a second, right? So let me go over here real quick, right? To put things in perspective, these are the top 15, top 20 safeties in the league. And you see Derwin James, who in my opinion, one of the best safeties in the entire league, is getting an average of $19 million per year. Minka Fitzpatrick at 18.2. Jamal Adams is 17.5. So let's start off with this, right? Do you think he even, like, let's start. I guess we'll start off with Steve again. We'll go back to him real quick. Steve, what are you thinking with this? Right, like, first of all, do you think Greg Curl is in the right to even go this route? You know, to kind of bring it up, and second of all, do you think that type of money is something that we should be talking about with Kam Curl?
First off, I don't think he should be posting stuff about his son's contract. It's just a little, you know what I mean? We've had some bad blood with parents getting involved with players here, but you know what? If you can't advocate for your son, who can you advocate for? So I get it. It's cool. I think his number is a little high comparatively to what some of the other safeties in this league are doing. He means a lot to this team, 100%, no doubt. But he might not mean as much to other, like, our scheme is very centered around Kam Curl, and we saw that when he was absent over the past year.
Yeah.
But other safeties in this league, sometimes the schemes don't revolve around them because if they disappear, okay, next man comes in and they're still performing at a decent level. With us, it wasn't the case. So he might be more important to our scheme than he is to, say, another safety on another team. So I still think 80 million is a little bit high. We saw the salary cap going up. What was it? 16 million, 17 million total. So there's a little wiggle room there, but I don't know about 80 million.
Okay. Let's kind of pivot over to Dev real quick. Dev, let's start off with this. Is Kam Curl elite? We'll start off with that.
No, man. Like, if he was elite, he would be an all-pro or an all-star. He's neither one of those.
Mm-hmm.
What he is can he be elite? That's a fair question. Mm-hmm. You know, is he important to us and our success going forward in the future? Damn Skippy. You know, like, we saw the drop-off. And that's why his dad saw the drop-off too. That's why he said 80 million. I would too. I'm not mad that he's asking for it, but you ain't getting that, bro. Like, I mean, I'm perfectly fine with playing our all-pro kickoff specialist and the Forest. If before I give you 20-something million a year or whatever he wants, before I give you 80 million, I'm gonna play them dudes. You know what I'm saying? Keep it 100. But gotcha. I love Kam, man, and however much they pay him, he's worth it. By the way, full disclosure, I was not on a bandwagon with giving Terry McLaurin 25 million. I thought that's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And it looked like I may have been wrong on that. But so I could be wrong. Is what I'm trying to say. But I
you didn't want to pay Terry McLaurin 20 million?
Man, no, man, because he ain't done 20 million in receiver shit. I mean, okay. look at the list of dudes that's making 20-something million at receiver and see what they've done, and then go see what Terry's done. It didn't make sense to me, and I love Terry. Terry's the best player on our offense, man. I love Terry, man. But you know, Terry's not. I put it this way: Amon St. Rob Brown, whatever his name is, for the Lions.
Yeah,
not an all-star. Way better year than Terry. I mean,
well, let me ask.
That's always the excuse, though, man. Is golf really that good to say quarterback?
He had a good year, though. He had a good year.
Amon Ra had a good year last year too.
Well, I guess let me ask you a question, Deb, before I throw it over to Phil. If you're not going to pay Terry McLaurin, who are you going to pay then? You have to pay somebody on the team.
I get it. No, man, you didn't need to because you already got two receivers. You could have paid somebody with less money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I get it, though. I get it. Like I said, I think in today's football, and Lamar Jackson is completely the definition of this, that it doesn't matter how important or how much you're worth to the league. It matters how important he is to Washington.
Mm.
And that's how Terry was looked at. It didn't matter if he's worth 25 million to the Rams or Detroit. It mattered if he was worth 25 million to us. And that's where Ron nailed it, or whoever was in charge of giving him that. I think that's where he nailed it.
That's a great pivot, dude. I'm going to throw that over to Phil. So, Phil, do you think there should be a different price point for someone that you value on your own team, or should you exclusively look at the market? Like, what do you think about that? Like, should we give him a commander's tax because he's actually a pretty good player on our team?
You got to factor that in.
Okay.
Is he just a great talent, or is he a great talent in our scheme?
Mm.
You know, you got to look at that as part of the equation. I mean, I look at his dad, and I get strong RG2 vibes from that tweet. Like, bro, really stop. 80 million. I'd love to see what they mean by that. You know, is it 80 million over 4 years, 2 years, 5 years, 8 years?
I wonder what the fully guaranteed is. Exactly.
80 million. If you go 80 million over, say, 6 years,
That's true. And you can always cut up
you're suddenly down to 16 million a year. Now, let's look where 16 million a year puts him between Harrison Smith and Justin Simmons. He was right at Harrison Smith level. Is Kam Curl as good as Harrison Smith? Is he better? Is he worth this? You do have to factor in market value, but factor in where do you rank amongst your own position? If he wants 80 million over 4, that's 20 million a year. Is he really better than Derwin James? I don't know.
I wouldn't say that.
So.
No,
I would say he's kind of more on the Quandre Diggs, Jesse Bates, like that little tier right there. I think
I don't think he's better than Jesse Bates.
Jesse Bates is legit. That's what I'm saying. I think Jesse Bates is pretty good safety right there. And Jesse Bates actually is in a contract year too. Right. I'd expect Jesse Bates to get more money. I bet you Jesse Bates is going to kind of reset the market, but he's going to – no one's going to top Derwin James. I'd be really surprised if they did. But I think, Kam Curl should be watching that contract, expect a little bit less than that. We should be paying more than Jesse Bates, in my opinion. Steve, where do you think he lands on this list? Where do you think Kam Curl is?
I mean, I think it's safe to say Kam Curl is probably a top 10 to 15 safety in the NFL. That's fair, right? It's a fair window.
I think so.
But there's also the age old saying that says you don't have to be the best player at your position to be the highest paid player at your position. Right. It just needs to be your turn. So that being said, we're saying he's a top 10 to 15 safety in the NFL. I think he's going to get paid more than that by this team because he's important, and that's just how it goes sometimes. But
that's just how it goes.
Yeah, that's just how it goes.
I didn't even know Jamal Adams was still in the league. Is he still in the league?
The old Raiders,
like the old
Seahawks. Jamal Adams is hard-hitting dude.
Yeah,
the
Seahawks. Last I heard, right?
He's on the Seahawks. That's why you don't see him.
He hasn't got a turnover in a long time. He was like a dominant safety. Then he went over. He made that big trade to get him, and he's kind of been a disappointment in Seattle. He's not been. I think he's still playing. Last I heard, but it was a disappointment.
He's still very effective. He just hasn't made the splash plays that you see the highlights of.
Exactly.
Kam Curl's kind of the same way. He's not a splash player, but he makes a lot of he just makes a lot of the steady plays. I wouldn't put him in Jamal Adams territory because he doesn't have the track record. You get paid based off of not just your potential, but your resume up to this point. I don't think he's getting 20 million a year. If you get him in that 12 million a year, I could see that because that puts him right around somewhere in that 8 to 12 range.
Yeah.
I think that's more than fair for a guy who has no Pro Bowls and none of that. And frankly, in a position that we have a lot of guys who can play in the box safety. Jeremy Reeves came in for Kam Curl in 2020 and played his position and was the highest rated defensive player on our team. So it's not like we don't have somebody back there that, if Kam Curl doesn't do it, you can stick Jeremy Reeves in there. I'm surprised we didn't do it this year. So I can't see that 80 million figure unless you really extend it out or just put so many incentives in it. I mean, if you look at that list that you had up, look at all the contracts. The money's all about half guaranteed at the most.
Mm-hmm.
Look, Derwin James, total value 76 million, fully guaranteed 38. That's 50%.
Let me ask you guys a question.
Fully guaranteed, I should say 38.
Before we pivot real quick, right? Like, is Kam Curl, is he scheme proof? Like we keep saying that he fits Washington. Jack Del Rio might not be here following this year, right? Is Kam Curl someone you can build around? Is he someone that is he a cornerstone at a strong safety? I would argue that he is, in my opinion. I think he's a pretty damn good player, in my opinion. How do you guys feel?
Yeah, I agree with that, George. He is a good player. I think he's versatile enough to go multiple, to do multiple things with multiple people. Mm-hmm. Don't put him in coverage every play. You know what I mean? If you're talking about that sort of scheme, but
or like a box safety kind of guy. Yeah.
But one of the things you have to ask yourself is who's higher priority? We're talking about Kam Curl, and I know his dad, Mr. Greg Curl, all the news, but Montez Sweat. They're both in the same boat. They both have one more year next year under contract, and then they're free agents or whatever. So granted, Montez is making like 11 something. Cam's making like 2 or 3.
I think Montez has a year you can extend him this year, but I don't. Curl
That's
doesn't.
Chase.
Next
That's
year.
Chase.
Next
That's
year is
Chase
his
Young.
5th year. Next year.
Montez didn't have
year.
a. Montez didn't have a.
He already got it. So that's well, Dev, I'm gonna throw it up there. That's my next question anyway, right? So that's our pivot point, right? So if we're going to sign Kam Curl, like the Commanders' defense, man, it's pretty well rounded. It's pretty solid, right? It's too much defense of a good thing, right? It's a lot of money going around. And what I want to show you guys really quickly is our salary cap, right? So look at this is from overthecap.com. If you basically look at the salary cap right now, and obviously there's things can clearly change, but right now we have about $7 million of free change. That's before we get rid of Carson Wentz, right? Get rid of Carson Wentz, it bubbles up to about $32 million, right? Potential cuts, Logan Thomas, Chase Rouillet could, balloon that up to 45 million, so on and so forth. So that's my next question, right? So we're looking at that. Clearly there's money to be paid. Deron Payne had a monster year, like legit Pro Bowl, 11.5 sacks, like legit. If we're going to sign Kam Curl, who's the odd man out? Like who would you not want to keep like out of that group? Because we have, obviously we have a menacing front right here with our front four. And I guess we'll start off with you, Dev. You were talking about, what do you think, man? Who would you get rid of out of that four?
What was it? It was what? Kam, Curl, Sweat, Payne, and who was the other one?
Young.
I would honestly say Payne, and I think out of the talented wise, I think Payne is probably the most talented out of those guys right now. But I think that you could keep more of them if you get rid of Payne, because I think it's going to be worth more, and I also think you can get more back for Payne at this point. I don't know if I'm as sour on Chase Young as everyone else. I think Chase Young is more of a clowny type, and I know everybody's expecting a Bosa. They want somebody that's getting 20 sacks a year. I don't think that's him, especially in a Del Rio defense, which doesn't surprise and mix up coverage. They basically just allow you to win one-on-one with maybe some stunts, and that's good for getting past rush. It's not really good for sack numbers. So he'll always have good pass rush numbers, him and Sweat, but they might never hit double figures here. Not in this defense. Not whenever you don't have to worry about linebackers coming in and blitzing and you get one-on-one all the time. He's not going to get those free hits. So I wonder if we're minimizing Chase Young's value because of the scheme he's in. That's the reason I won't say Young, but I'm gonna say I'll probably get rid of Curl. I mean Payne, just because you can get more for him.
So it's going to be interesting offseason, right? So we'll talk about that. I'll throw it to Phil in a second, right? So basically, the way it's going to work is if we re-sign Payne at minimum, so like John Allen got about $17 million contract, right? Deron Payne's going to get more than that. That's the nature of the beast with the market value, right? Floor 18 million. I think is going for about 21, 22 million. Kam Curl is going to be going for about 14 million. That's kind of what he's going for there. So a safety is naturally cheaper than a defensive tackle. The other thing I want to kind of factor in is it is Chase Young's, this is the time to put in for that 5th year. He's going into his 4th year. You get that 5th year contract. And no one's really talking about this yet.
He won't get that though.
If you look at it right now, his 5th year option is $17.4 million. So we're going to have to pay him $17.4 million if we want him to be part of the Washington, the Commanders are going into 2024. He's a franchise player in theory, but like, how do we feel about that? I guess Phil, we'll start off with you. Like, is Chase Young, or is he someone you build around? Is that 5th year option a no-brainer? How do you feel about that?
That's such a hard question because we haven't seen him. We lost over a season of evaluation on this guy.
Year and a half.
The season was him getting his legs back under him. It's so hard to say. And honestly, of all the guys we mentioned, in terms of what we've gotten out of them this past, in recent history, Chase is the odd man out. But I also have sat here and pointed out all the things that people don't see that he does for this defense. If you really have to consider, if we cut this guy, do we have a replacement on the roster under contract already? That should be your big consideration.
That's a great question. Mm-hmm.
Who is the most replaceable? If we were just get rid of him right now and we can't go out and get another guy, who could we most easily replace? Now, what we saw last season, you would say can't be Kam Curl. I think that if you move Jeremy Reeves into that position, you maybe can get rid of Kam Curl. Another fact, we got a draft coming up where we're going to be focusing heavy on two spots: linebacker and offensive line. And linebacker, if you get a solid linebacker, it would help mitigate the loss of a Kam Curl. So you have to consider there's a lot of moving parts here. Right now, I mean, if you get rid of Deron Payne, is John Ridgeway going to be his back? Now, granted, that's
You got Mathis. You got Mathis.
You got Ridgeway.
Yeah.
All right. If you think that you can do what you did with those two, then Payne can walk and go get a ton of money elsewhere, and we still have a great offensive line.
And you'll get a
if you don't feel that comfortable, if you think that the backups at safety can step up and fill the gap better than the backups at defensive tackle can step up and fill the gap there, then you got to move on from Kam Curl. That's the question the coaching staff has to ask. And that's a tough one because it's kind of the same boat. You know, Ridgeway was great, but Ridgeway, also was a backup. He played part-time snaps. But Phil Mathis back. Then
that's
you
interesting.
got a lot more depth. This is a tough question, but it's a good scenario to have because you know that either way, you're looking at your backups like, hey, if we need you, you can step up.
Unless they're offensive guards.
Now, granted, like I said, I mean, I can see that because Payne's a bigger contract too. If you want to make any splash in free agency, you don't want to go put the money into Payne when you could put the money into Curl and still have $5 to $10 million or whatever, somewhere in that range to play with.
I'm not gonna lie to you though, bro. If Washington has near sub $60 million in cap space, they shouldn't let any of these dudes walk unless you're going to get me a dude. Like honestly, unless you're going out and get Lamar Jackson or somebody, a dude, not no raggedy ass car. I'm talking about get it, and he's not raggedy. I don't want to, but not no mediocre, right? I want some cush. I don't know no mid, bro. You know what I'm saying? Get me some good stuff in here. You need to if you can't do that, if you can't get Lamar Jackson, I'm just gonna say that if you can't get Lamar Jackson at quarterback, which you're not gonna do, let's be honest, then I don't know why you got $60 million. How come you can't sign all them dudes, man, back? Like, why not?
Yes.
What's the point? Who else you bringing in here?
No, there's exactly. There's definitely some good points. I'm gonna throw it over to Steve in a minute. I thought Phil brought up a good point.
Question,
right?
George, to add to this, that cap figure you showed, does that include the increase?
That let me take a look. I think I just got it today, so it might be fully up to date. Or actually, it might have been a day or two ago, so it might be a little bit different. So honestly, what I saw most recently was about we had $32 million is what I saw most recently. So I don't know if that automatically configured with Carson Wentz's salary or whatever it was. But let me pull that back up again. Let me take a look, and I'll pull it up for us right now. So basically, let's take a look. It says in the corner, it says $223 million. That is it, right? Where do they rise up to? Do you guys know off the top of your head?
24.
Yeah,
man, they got Taylor Heineke calculated a higher market value than Deron Payne.
Quarterback.
Just because he's a quarterback?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess so. But I don't think it's going to get that.
I wouldn't give Wes Schweitzer half of that, by the way.
So let's do this real quick. Let's kind of talk about it, right? So let's kind of unpack what Phil says. I love that perspective, Phil. You basically were like, all right, some of these guys are going to walk, right? But do we have the depth for it, right? I think you guys, in my opinion, I think you guys are kind of underselling Kam Curl. I think it's pretty legit. We've been trying to solve that safety position for a very, very long time. And, Marcus kind of mentioned it in the chat right here. He kind of views him as a Swiss Army knife on the defense. He plays that Buffalo nickel. He plays that linebacker role. He can cover the tight end. I do think that he is significantly better than Jeremy Reeves. I don't think Jeremy Reeves is a plug and play compared to Kam Curl. Kam Curl's a lot better than him, in my opinion. The defensive tackle position is pretty interesting, though. We got Ridgeway, we got Mathis. We don't really know what that's going to entail. But the thing is, like for me, is if you have a defensive tackle that can pass rush, that's special, right? Like Ridgeway is more of like a zero technique, more like a nose guard. Same thing with Mathis. I don't think Mathis is going to generate a lot of pressure. Like, I know people are like, you got 9 sacks at Alabama, but Alabama's like a bullying on these, it's like, Ole Miss and things like that. It's not like that in the NFL. He's not going to win off of power in the NFL, in my opinion. So it is kind of interesting. I don't really know where to go. In my opinion, I think the best solution is to tag Daron Payne, just to kind of keep him for 1 year. Because he had 11 and a half sacks. That's an outlier for what he can do.
But then next year you got to sign him, Sweat, and your boy
Young.
You'd have to have. Well, if you tag Payne will be a free agent next year. So Curl and Sweat.
But what I'm saying is, you tag Payne, you extend Curl is what I'm trying to say. So you get Curl. Yeah, so get Curl under control, get Payne to kind of see where he's going to be. But the problem is, if you tag Payne, he's not going to want to come back. It's going to be the whole Kirk Cousins, Brennan Sheriff perspective. But Steve, you've been kind of quiet for a while. So what do you got, bro? What do you think of all this?
Just trying to wait my turn. No, so I'm at a point where I think we have too much invested in the front four. I really think you need to be good at all 3 levels. So we're really good up front. We're not very good in the middle, and we're really good in the back. You got to keep that trend going. So to me, I think you keep Allen and Payne, and then you figure out between the bookends. You can't keep both.
Allen Payne, my type of woman there down there, Steve.
Allen Payne, Young or Sweat. You probably have this year to decide, because if Chase Young flops this year, then you keep Sweat, and maybe you consider moving Chase, but you can't keep all 4. So I would go with Payne, Allen. Let's, like you said, George, Payne is special. And then figure out which bookend you keep, and then you sign Curl. So that gives us flexibility at the front and back end. And then, like Phil said, if we could get a linebacker out of the draft to pair with Jamin and who knows, Cole Holcomb, then we're looking a little bit better.
I'm going Joey Porter.
There's some
cut for Fuller.
Yeah, as a cornerback, that'd be awesome. There's something to be said for having them both too, right? I don't know if you guys, peeped it or kind of caught that stat when we played the Browns, right? So Jonathan Allen hyperextended his knee during the Browns game. Nick Chubb, he's an awesome back. I think he's one of the top 3 backs in the league. When Jonathan Allen went down, he averaged 7 yards a carry in the second half. You kind of need them both. Like, people kind of like, we can kind of plug and play them. Remember, guys, they've been playing for 6 years together. These are Alabama tough players. They know how to play together. So I think they do kind of work off each other. And I'm not surprised that, we have 2 Pro Bowl defensive tackles that, that are built that way. Dev, I'm going to throw you a question from Marcus. He threw one in the chat. Let me see how you feel about this. Would you tag and try to trade Daron Payne? Do you think that's even a possibility in your opinion?
Well, we've had this discussion before. You can't tag an NFL player with the sole purpose of trading him. If you do trade him in a tag year, he basically has a no trade clause where he gets to dictate the terms and where it goes. So I don't know how easy that would be. It probably would be. It probably would be easy, honestly. As long as we don't get a number 2 for him,
Is that NFLPA rule?
Yeah. That.
That's awesome. I didn't know
whenever
that.
They whenever they got Alex Smith, they still had Kirk at the same time, right? And the theory was franchise Kirk because you can afford that, and then you can trade him, but they couldn't, so they had to release him outright. Before the
now you can tag him and field trade offers.
Yeah.
But
that money's guaranteed June 1st.
He has veto power.
Right. Yeah, and that money's guaranteed June 1st. So like once Kirk was here, if he was here after June 1st, then you couldn't trade him and you had to pay him. So without his permission. So there was like you had to get rid of him. You had to let him go. And that's basically what's happening in the car. Get ready to happen to him. They're gonna have to let him go.
He has to get released like 3 days after the Super Bowl. We're gonna learn about him quickly, like 1 or 2 weeks.
Want him, by the way.
Know what's going on with him.
Not with Derek Carr.
Yeah,
I'm telling you. I said it on the last show. There's going to be some shady stuff going on right now. He's owed his bonus February 15th.
If we get Carr, we're going to win 8 games again next year, bro.
The new league year starts March 15th, George.
Well, yeah, there you go. Exactly right.
They're not going to give him that bonus.
They're not going to give him that, but they're going to cut him like a couple days after Super Bowl. I agree.
He knows where he's going in 2 weeks. I guarantee it.
Oh, so you think he's already going to be traded?
Yeah, I think you can't trade him. You can't trade him until after that day, though.
That's why there's so much illegal tampering going on right now.
There's so much illegal tampering
with Derek Carr.
All right. That's a great question, though. So I guess we're talking about the whole defense right here. Do you guys have any interest in any veteran quarterback? Or you guys team Sam Howell?
Man, if it ain't Lamar, give me a rookie or Howell, big dog. That's all. I mean,
I think they franchise tagged Lamar today, exclusive tag. I think.
So what? I give up the picks, man. What are you doing with them anyway? What are you doing with all these first round picks not going to the playoffs? We've had all these first round picks and not made it. Like
two first rounders in pain.
Yeah.
That's a good deal.
No, I would just give him money of 2 first rounders. I would just offer him $250 million. If we lose the 2 first rounders, name the last 2 first rounders are better than Lamar.
But the Ravens have to accept it. 2 first rounders is
they don't have to
starting point.
Lamar has to accept it.
I don't know the rules about the whole franchise tag. I guess Steve is pulling up. I could see you do that. It's good. Good call, Steve. Phil, so what do you think, man? Are you on Howell, or are you more like into are you into Cole or Brady or Roger Jackson or any of these guys? How you feeling about that?
I have no need for them. My A1 plan. A1 plan would be as they've been telling teams right now, Howell is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Or not telling teams, but telling offensive coordinators, Howell's our number 1.
He's the only guy on the team.
I say
you're right, Deb.
Well, technically Carson's still there, but nonetheless, he won't be for long.
Mm-hmm.
You go with Howell as your A1. You go out and you get yourself a Jacoby Brissett to be your backup. And you tell him right from the jump, you're QB2. Your job is to be prepared in case this guy gets hurt or if he falls flat on his face, and to mentor him so he doesn't fall flat on his face. You get somebody like that, and you run with Howell, because I'll tell you what, I like Sam Howell. Everybody likes to talk about Heineke's moxie.
That's a hot topic for us.
God, if I hear that word one more time. But I like Howell because he's got that quality with an arm. So now he's ballsy. And I mean, when he came out, I mean, I was the one on Twitter saying, unleash the Howlitzer, because he's got the cannon for the arm. I like what you can do with this kid. I like he's short like Heineke, but his throwing mechanics are so much better. And the way he throws avoids the tip balls that you see from a Taylor Heineke, because he doesn't sidearm. He throws up top. He's got that nice 3/4 delivery that you want. Over the head, boom, right? I like that. I like his mechanics. I like that he's mobile. I like that he's not afraid to run, as someone got this year. I want to see us run Howell with a definitive backup. You don't want the maybe they're backup, maybe they're not, because this fan base, dating back to Sonny and Billy, always splits at the quarterback. If it's too close to call, or if there's any inkling that QB2 should be ahead of QB1, a big chunk of the fan base is going to run to QB2, because that's what they do.
There is that old saying in DC that the backup quarterback's the most popular person in DC, right? We've been hearing about that for a very, very long time. Deb, before we kind of pivot to offensive coordinator, you kind of shook your head when he said Jacoby Brissett. Why was that? He
hates Jacoby Brissett.
I don't hate Jacoby Brissett's fine, man. I just think that what for? Like, you're going to have to pay that guy $7 million to be a backup, man, when you can just draft a guy, man. Let Jacob Fromm be the backup. Like, who cares? Like, this year's a lame year. If the starting quarterback gets hurt, it's not going to matter anyways, man. It's not. You might as well just tank for Caleb. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna put, if he gets hurt, you're gonna put that dude in for what? To win 8 games again? That's what I'm trying to say. Go with Hal, and if he fails, he fails.
How do you feel about this, Dev, or anybody? I'll throw this out there, right? I don't understand the obsession with Brissett, right? I feel like everyone kind of wants Brissett. He's kind of the hot name everyone kind of talks about all together. Why? Like, I'm not even a big Taylor Heineke fan, but why would you take Jacoby Brissett over Heineke, right? And
you have to.
Hold on.
I got 2 reasons.
Let me say this real quick there, right? In an ideal world, this is my perspective, and Steve, I'm going to let you go off. I know you're excited about this, right? For me, it's like you have Sam Howell, you start him, right? You put Heineke as a potential backup. He's going to be dirt cheap. He knows the system already, right?
I don't know about 13. We've seen $19 million down there.
And then finally draft. No, he's not gonna be. I think he's gonna be like $8 million. Honestly, I think that's way overpriced. And then finally, I think you draft a rookie, you take a dart throw, and basically like you throw Howell out there, you let him develop. Him and Heineke are boys. Heineke can develop him, and then finally take a rookie dart throw, athletic guy like Hooker or something that kind of falls later on in the draft. Put them in there and give them a potential growth. I know your argument's going to be that the fans are going to be crazy about Heineke, but shouldn't Rivera shut that down? Rivera should shut that down. Steve, what do you got?
Yeah, so you said it. Sam Howell will never develop if Taylor Heineke is the backup. The first interception, people are shooting for Taylor Heineke. We know this. And second, it's not the same Taylor Heineke. Scott Turner is gone. You can't say he knows the system. He's just a quarterback.
Yeah.
So he's just Taylor Heineke now that Scott Turner's gone. There's nothing special about him. He has no advantage over Sam Howell. He doesn't know any system that Sam Howell doesn't know yet. They're on even playing ground. So for the health of our fan base, we have to find what I like to say in the chat, a grizzled veteran. Chase Daniel, Chad Henne, Andy Dalton, like these guys who are just backups. So there's an unquestionable factor out there that you are a backup and you are starter Sam Howell. That's my opinion. That's who I want to roll. So and Jacoby Brissett fits that mold.
Health of the team and Jacoby Brissett kind of. Okay, I got you. Okay.
Fan base too.
Health of the fan base team.
I'd rather just draft a rookie and let him and Hal battle out in the winter.
2 rookies or 1 rookie?
A rookie backup quarterback.
Just one. Just go get the Tennessee dude in the second round.
He might not even be ready for the season.
Hey,
it ain't gonna matter. The next season, anyways. Next season, all new stuff coming in.
Hey, new offensive coordinator. You get to groom 2 new quarterbacks.
No, you only groom one because one's gonna be hurt all year.
Hey Phil, touch on the dynamic of Heineke real quick. Then we'll go to offensive coordinators. What we'll do.
Well, Steve hit on a lot of them, and Steve knows. I've been the anti Heineke whisperer. A lot of the season. Just
our boy Deuce says from. That's a Deuce? What's up, Deuce?
Wherever Scott Turner goes, Heineke will follow. If it's in the NFL, Heineke's going. Hell, Scott Turner gets a job replacing some coach in the XFL. Heineke's going to the XFL. Why? Because that's the only man who he's ever had any success with. And that's the only man in the NFL who's wanted him is Scott Turner.
Is Scott Turner going to be in the league next year?
Yeah, he'll be a QB coach or something.
I think so.
But Heineke's going to go where Scott Turner goes, right? And they'll sucker into paying him more money than he's worth. Let someone else be that sucker. All right. I don't want to be that sucker. We've been a sucker for too long with Taylor Heineke, thinking with this fan base thinking he's something he isn't.
Okay. Get Kyle Allen back, man.
Kyle Allen. You guys being serious? You like Kyle Allen? Why do you like Kyle Allen?
No, I don't. I like him enough to be a backup. I like him to be enough to be backup where no one's gonna cry for him to be the starter.
I'd be fine with a Kyle Allen here as a backup. That's fine. I like Kyle Allen more than Taylor Heineke.
Go get Cam Newton.
So it's
him on goal line.
Oh man,
the Cam Newton's washed now. His shoulder's gone, man. But so you guys, so it sounds like you guys are content. Ride with how if it fails, you guys don't mind that, right? You guys would rather crash and burn as opposed to become a 500 team again. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I'd rather just get Caleb Williams or Shadur Sanders.
I've always hated the concept, and this is in life.
Yeah.
All right. I hate this in economics. I hate this in politics. I hate this in my football team.
Yeah.
The idea of a soft landing.
Yeah.
No. If you're in on this guy being QB1, you're in. And if it crashes, fine. You find someone else and rebuild after that. But the plan is QB1, QB1A junk. No, I'm out on that. We always say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Period.
2 quarterbacks of the same skill set.
That's true.
You have no quarterbacks.
Let me show you what Ryan did real quick. Then we can kind of wrap it up and go to our next topic, right? Ryan says, I think this is in response to Phil. He says, how do we know that Taylor Heineke is not going to flourish in the next system? And then he also adds on, he says, it's the cheap unknown factor. Let Taylor start at $7 to $10 million and bring in Howell if Taylor stinks it up. Is that what he's saying, or is it Tyrod Taylor?
No, he's talking Taylor Heineke. We know Ryan. Ryan's a good friend.
He wants Heineke
show.
to start over Howell. Interesting.
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Why?
George, if I'm going to pay $7 to $10 million, I'm gonna go and get Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield or
That's
Teddy
true. I'm not
Bridgewater.
gonna lie. There's more upside with that, right? I agree with that.
Let's be
I like
real.
that, Steve. That's a good
Let's
point.
be honest about this. Where has
Gardner
Taylor Heineke
Minshew
flourished?
too. Yeah.
Where's Taylor Heineke flourished outside of a Scott Turner system? He didn't flourish in the XFL. He was a backup to Jordan Tamu. He didn't flourish on. He's been on 4 NFL rosters. 3 of them were Scott Turner's. He didn't do anything on the one he wasn't. The last time Taylor Heineke flourished without Scott Turner was at Old Dominion, when Old Dominion was a FCS school.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And they're just down there throwing run and shoot all day.
Well, let's talk about this, right? That's a great point. We just kind of brought up Scott Turner. There's a vacancy in DC. What are we going to do, right? So what I'm going to do is pull up for you guys right here is the current list of names that are kind of connected with Washington right now. Basically, they've already interviewed Pat Shurmur, Ken Zampese, Charles London, Eric Stewsville, Thomas Brown. I like those options. I like how they evolved the process. Pat Shurmur was, I guess, one of Ron's he knows him from the Philadelphia. Ken Zampese is probably my least favorite, to be honest with you. And then it starts getting interesting. I don't want to kind of steal your thunder, but Charles London, running backs coach for the Falcons. The Falcons have a very effective run team. If that's going to be our personality, it might actually work out pretty well. Eric Stewsville has good connections from highly reputable from Denver. Thomas Brown is the tight ends coach for the Rams. Anthony Lynn, a former coach for the Chargers, 49ers running backs coach right now, and Eric Bieniemy. So they requested them. They haven't officially met with them yet. That's definitely something intriguing. I guess we haven't heard. Let's start off with Dev. Dev, out of all these options, real quick, which one do you like the most?
I think Anthony Lynn went to Carolina, right?
Not officially, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we have to wait till he was. We have to wait till this past weekend because on the 49ers, you can't hire him while he's still coaching. But go ahead.
After this week, out of this list, I'm about to go to Eric B. Man, it scares me because our number one weakness this year was play calling, and we're going to ask a guy to be our OC as a play caller for the first time. Yeah. That's the one thing I'm hesitant about saying Eric B. Man, but I don't want an old guy. Like I really don't want another 60-year-old old ass dude that
Eric
out
Bieniemy's
there.
54, by the way.
Yeah, I don't want Eric him either. On this list is who I have to choose from, right? But
pretty much.
Yeah, Eric will be the one on there because I feel like his offense he runs is the youngest. I know that Reed isn't young either, but the offense is like a young man's offense. It's not this Ron Rivera offense we've seen.
That's a good perspective. Andy Reid, I think, in my opinion, I think he's if not the best coach in the entire NFL, and having his right hand man right next to him is definitely very intriguing. Yeah,
right. Yeah, Andy Reid's underachieved. He's basically Little Wayne, man.
All right, Steve, what are you thinking, man? Looking at this list, what do you like? Are you?
Yeah.
Is there fear Thomas Brown, Bieniemy haven't called an offense before? Is that scary you? What are you thinking?
No, these are all okay candidates with me. Ron said he wants to be 2-to-1 run pass, right? So what is he doing? We're interviewing running backs coaches and offensive coordinators. They're no longer employed or whatever. So I think Bieniemy would be my top choice, followed by Anthony Lynn as a former head coach, number 2. And then I like Thomas Brown. He would bring that Sean McVay offense with him. And Eric Studesville, he would bring that. Where's he at? Was he from Miami? And Miami was a great team this year. So
100%.
Anthony Lynn would probably bring some of the Kyle Shanahan offense with him as well. I think these are pretty good candidates. Although at the end of the day, I fear some of these guys might be risking coming here. They might think it's a risk to come here because they don't know the future of Ron Rivera and the ownership and all that stuff. So we might have to settle for none of those people that I just said, and you might get a Shurmur or Zampese, and that's it.
Imagine firing your OC in a lame year where you only have like 3 or 4 months till you find a new owner. You're going to fire anyways. Imagine firing the guy before even knowing who is going to replace him. Like, why did you even cut Turner until then? You didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
Go ahead. Ryan says if we don't let Ben and me, I have a gut feeling we'll settle on Shermer. It's kind of like a popular topic that I'm kind of hearing too on podcasts and stuff. I'll throw it over to Phil. If you're looking over here, Steve kind of went the reverse order, right? Eric Beneby at the top, Anthony Lynn number 2, Thomas Brown number 3. You kind of work that. I think I kind of agree with him. I kind of like that list as well. I would have Ken Zampese all the way in the bottom. I don't find him interesting at all. Pat Shermer would be a little bit higher than with him because he has coaching experience. And, like we saw Jack Del Rio kind of as a retread, but maybe having like 3 head coaches in the room would be, we have a kind of maybe a wiser, more respected room. I have no idea, but
I think that the London dude is trash.
You think so?
Yeah.
For Atlanta. Yeah, I mean their offense was horrible.
Yeah, they had an innovative run game. If you care about what Logan Paulson says, he seems pretty high on them. But we'll see. Phil, what do you think?
None of those are bad choices.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that right now. None of those are choices I look at and I go, "Oh God, don't get him." Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that feeling. Even Zampese, like I have no beef with Zampese. He's not my first choice.
Mm-hmm.
Bieniemy and Lynn would be my first choices out of this list, obviously. One name that's not on the list, and I wish they would at least interview him, is Pep Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Brunell.
I like Pep because he's got a history of working with quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, this man molded Andrew Luck both in college and the pros.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This guy came into DC in the XFL and had Cardale Jones as one of the best quarterbacks in that league.
Did he
That's a good point.
He call plays though?
Yes, he called plays. He was the head coach and offensive coordinator. And he was the offensive coordinator for a Texans team that was supposed to be absolute trash, and they were absolute trash. But we saw some things out of that team. We're like, oh, okay, wow, they ran the ball pretty effectively. Davis Mills wasn't a total embarrassment, despite the fact that he has a crane neck. And it didn't get snapped. Pep Hamilton does run more of a West Coast offense for sure, which for Sam Howell, that might be a good thing. I don't know.
Yards after catch for our players. Yeah, we have some quick players, quick twitch.
Yeah,
I agree.
It would be different. It might be better for him. I like Pep. He's a local guy. He coached at Howard. He was a quarterback at Howard. And I think that he's a guy who doesn't have anything to lose by coming here. He was in this situation last year with the Texans this past season. He was elevated offensive coordinator knowing Lovie Smith was a lame duck. Lovie Smith was brought in to command the tank, right? And he still didn't manage to do that properly because they didn't get the first pick.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, I think Pep is somebody they should talk to because of his experience with quarterbacks and because of the fact that I don't think he's going to look at coming here as necessarily a negative career move as some of these other guys might because of the unsettled ownership situation. Because let's face it, we're not going to have an owner in time to replace the coaching staff. We're not. It's not going to happen. But that gives you a year to audition.
So let me throw you a question real quick because you talk about timing, right? There has been criticism, and I don't necessarily agree with it, but there's been criticism recently that Washington's taking their time, taking too long to find an offensive coordinator. None of you guys caught it today. Like I think the Junkies posted up, they're kind of mad that Ron Rivera is kind of out golfing and not necessarily picking offensive coordinator. Steve, how do you feel like that? First of all, do you care that Ron Rivera is relaxing during the offseason, first of all? And then 2, are you worried that we're taking a long time when picking offensive coordinator? Or do you think it's ultimately a smart move because it's a big decision? What do you think?
No, well, mixed bag. I don't care that Ron's playing golf.
Okay.
Marty Herney is at the Senior Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 3. Jack Del Rio is also somewhere else. The coaches are out where they need to be. The scouts out. It's not a problem. So Rob, play all the golf you want, bro. You're the head coach. You deserve it. Go ahead. We probably do need to get on the ball pretty soon though, because especially you got the draft coming up. Was it end of April?
Mm-hmm.
The league year's coming up. So a coordinator is going to want to gather some pieces for his offense here starting March 15th and beyond. So we probably have a couple weeks before they got to get something done quickly. But as of right now, no, I'm not sweating it.
Gotcha. Dev, how do you feel? Do you have any thoughts on it, or Phil?
So the junkies don't like that Ron's out playing golf.
Says the guys that are always out playing golf.
There's the guys that take is heighting.
That's funny.
It's silly. Until I used to listen to the junkies. Not anymore. I think I think Lurch is a complete waste of humanity. But anyway, you heard it here, folks. Anyway, I'm not sweating it. You've got until Super Bowl time, which is 2 weeks, to really narrow this thing down. I'd rather we cast a wide net and not miss something than immediately just jump on the first name. Guys, if you find a girl, if you go to the club at 10 p.m. and at 10:15 you find a girl to talk to you, you're like, I'm taking her home tonight. Have you really done yourself any favors? Because you went with the first one who responded to your...
When you know. Hey, did any of y'all watch The Last of Us?
Not yet. I gotta watch it. I watched first
about
episode.
To give us the faux show talk.
Well, just to let you know, Bill let the first dude that fell in this hole fall in this hole. You know what I'm saying? So if you watch The Last of Us, you know what I mean by that.
All right, let's bring it all home. We have one last question. We're all said and done. So we're looking at this, right? I don't want to be done by about an hour. Upcoming draft, real quick, boys. So what are you thinking at pick 16? Like, we have a lot of draft talk up and coming, but what do you think the Washington's biggest area of need? Like, what do you want to see them address at number 16?
Best player available. If Joey Porter's there, take him. You know what I mean? I'm not saying we need him, but take him. Hell, at that point, we could release Fuller or move Fuller to free safety.
I think we need him. I think CB is really high on the list. People are like, we have, BSJ and we have Kendall Fuller. I think they're both, first of all, Benjamin St-Juste isn't necessarily healthy all the time. And then Kendall Fuller is more like a CB2 in my opinion. I don't think he's like a Batman. I want like a Batman and a Robin, right? So I want to get that dog. CB1 is what I really want to go for in my opinion. So you're saying best player available, Dev? What do you got, Steve?
I'd say either very similar, best cornerback or left tackle available at 16. So if you figure one of those guys are better fit, but to me it's offensive line and cornerback for that 16th pick, just depending who falls to 16.
What if a quarterback's sitting there like the Kentucky dude?
Will Levis?
Yeah.
Trade out.
A Louisville guy, I don't want him.
Trade out.
But
trade out.
Phil, what do you got?
I don't even necessarily think we need to go left tackle. I would hope. I kind of wish we go linebacker. We need somebody else that has the athleticism of a Jamin Davis, but maybe a little bit more of a polished product right off the bat. Maybe it doesn't have to be as athletic as Jamin. Because Jamin's measurables are super, but somebody who can play at that speed. It would help mitigate the potential loss of someone like a Kam Curl, but it also would help mitigate the potential loss of someone like a Deron Payne. If you've got another linebacker up there that could go up and play at the line and attack, hit the point of attack, you don't necessarily need to replace Deron with a Deron level player. You can get a Mathis, Ridgeway, and linebacker to do the job. So I would look at linebacker. I would look at offensive line. Hell, I mean, if somebody's willing to give us a couple high picks to move up, and we drop back because let's just say that you're in that void. You can't get you missed out on the top guys, and the next guys down are low end of the first round. Why not drop back, pick up a second rounder, and you can start stocking up on some quality talent, guys who can start, but necessarily aren't the flashiest, the highest guys on the board. There's many ways you can do this. So I would keep all options open, but best available offensive line or linebacker would be my priority. Corner, maybe. Depends on who. I really have to kind of look at how the draft boards kind of shake out.
Yeah.
But, maybe corner. But I honestly think that, St-Juste and Fuller are good. And you can get a third corner in a second, third round.
Man, we
ain't that can play a lot of minutes.
We ain't did Jack in the second round in history. When's the last second round pick? Just trade all of them for whoever. Trade every one of them for a 6th-round pick.
I love
10 first-round pick. Trade 10 second-round picks for a backup guard. For all I care.
Do you know how many times I've done? You know how many times I've done mock drafts? What I do is I trade away all of our 2nd-round picks
every one of them
for the next 3 years, and then I get a 1st-round pick. I get a 1st-round pick and a 3rd-round pick, and I actually make a really good draft out of it.
Always, every time.
Yeah,
I think you can make that happen.
All right, got some good comments over here. Deuce says Joey Porter Jr., Joey PJ Sandwich really pushing that nickname over there.
Yeah,
I like where Marcus's head's at, man. Signing Andre Dillard, so getting our offensive line under control and drafting Joey Porter. I like that. Devin Witherspoon's being mocked to us quite often, so he's definitely a well-rounded cornerback as well.
Yeah, I like
here's our last question. We'll wrap it up here because I know we're almost done. Anthony Richardson, how do you guys feel about quarterback? Is our quarterback off the board? Are you guys?
No, I take him. If one of those crazy top 2 or 3 quarterbacks slide like Fields did, I'll take him. I would rather have one of those guys. If I'm telling y'all, I told them I would trade our 2nd and a 3rd to get back in and trade to get the guy from Tennessee, the last pick of the 1st round, so you could have the 5th-year option. I would do it, man.
The Ravens did that actually.
Look, he's going to sit. He's going to sit probably next year. And basic. And let's keep it real. The new owner is probably going to clean the house, man.
He's the same age as Lamar Jackson. No,
a lot of people are the same age as Lamar Jackson.
He's pretty old. Yeah,
a lot of guys are the same age. The guy from Georgia is older than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Stetson. Yeah,
there's a lot of guys. Herbert's older than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
there's a lot of guys older than him.
I would rather see if Hendon Hooker slides. If you can get him in the 4th round,
Hooker would be nice late.
That's what I'm saying. Sam Howell slipped to the 5th.
That's what I'm saying. Howell, a veteran quarterback, and then a rookie prospect to kind of a dart throw to kind of go.
Your rookie prospect has to be mid-round at best. You can't.
Yeah, it's too late with it.
Stroud's going to be there.
They're going to start.
No Richardson at 16. He's
too raw. He's Malik Willis.
Horrible, but man, the athletic potential is through the roof.
Through the roof, man. That's fun, man.
6'4", 2 something. Oh, yeah.
I take him.
Let's bring it on home, fellas. So, guys, I appreciate you coming on. Some good talk over here. To tell them, what kind of products you're working on. Where can they find you with your socials? Let's give it a shot. We'll start off with Phil. Break it down, man. Where can they find you on socials?
Find me on Twitter right at this spot right here, Phil Credible. If you like watching a big burly bastard like me lift weights, you can go find me at husky.muscle on IG. That's all I post is lifting vids. And you can always find us at the Command This podcast on YouTube. Cool. Or Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you get your podcast.
I hope not, Dev. That'd be gross, man.
That's him. Husky Muscle. That's him.
All right, Steve, what about you, bro? Where can they find you?
Yep. At SteveLin_DC or at Command_This on Twitter. Yeah, we're all over the place. You can just Google Command This. You'll find us on all video and audio podcast platforms. So we're out there. Also on Facebook, and then also you can find us in the Washington Football Addicts Facebook group, almost pushing 7K. So, yep, we around.
I love it. Dev, how about you, bro?
I'm simple, man. I'm at Sean Deveron, or I'm at I am Dev at Twitter, but Sean Deveron on Facebook, man.
You still ain't got your own Twitter handle right.
Yeah, at Sean Deveron. Yeah.
It's hello, I'm Dev.
Hello, I'm Dev.
Hello,
yeah.
I'm
I don't know, man. I'm somewhere, man. Catch me everywhere.
Everywhere.
In the streets. I'm in the streets. Nah, joke.
That's hilarious. All right, y'all. So I'm George Carmi at GCarmi21 on Twitter. You guys can find me on the Command the Mic podcast on YouTube. Definitely subscribe to that. I'm definitely trying to make that grow. I'm also the editor for Full Press Commander, so definitely give that a shot. FullPressCoverage.com. I really appreciate you guys having you on. Have a great rest of the night. Peace.
So.